All right, my mastermind math geometry students, this is Mr. Moss coming at you with section 2.2 for our chapter 2 notes. As you can see, our notes for 2.2 are very short, but I'm going to refer to the book a lot on different things here. A couple things before I get started. I'm going to show some pages in the book too to kind of help out with the whole idea of what we got going on here. Is that these symbols at the top here and what they mean. We got these funny squiggly lines, and we're going to talk about that again here in a few minutes. But we have the squiggly means not, and then this upside down looks like almost like a Christmas tree, as you could call it, means the and scenario, and then the V means an or. And at this point, it may not mean a whole lot to you until we get to a point in our lesson that it'll help you out with that, okay? So just hold on to that, but make sure you make a note or a star or something like that at the top to indicate what we got going on here. So now, in lesson 2, in section 2 of chapter 2, we need to talk about a couple things first, but we're going to be talking about what are called statements, conditionals, and biconditionals. And in order to be able to understand that a little bit better, we have to go through a lot of different definitions here, okay? So here it shows, I'm going to see if it the light does a little bit better here. Oh, there we go. That's much better as far as what we got. Okay, so I'm going to read this out to you, and you can get in your online books and do the same thing if you choose to, but it says determine true values, okay? Now, a statement is a statement that is either true or false, okay? That's what we got. So we got a statement. The truth value of a statement is either true or it is false. Statements often are represented using a letter such as a P or a Q. So you can see that in here. So we got a P as our statement, and it says a rectangle is a quadrilateral. Okay, that is our first statement, and it says it's a true value, so we make it T because we know that a quadrilateral, or a definition of quadrilateral, is a four-sided figure, and a rectangle is also that too. Okay, now here's an interesting, so it goes back up to that little squiggly mark that we said that means not, okay? Negation is the word that we're talking about here. The negation of a statement has the opposite meaning, okay? So you might want to make a note of that, mean opposite meaning, as well as the opposite true value. For example, going back up here, a rectangle is a quadrilateral. If we want to do the negation of it, we do our little squiggly and then the letter P. Then all we have to do is add in the letter or the word not in there. Okay, a rectangle is not a quadrilateral. Therefore, the true value is now going to be false. Now notice again that the symbol from a P switches to a squiggly with a P there to make sure that it's called a negation. So it cancels out. That's another word as far as negation. Okay, now next thing we need to talk about is there are two or more statements. So you guys have had English class before, and you guys have listened to compound sentences or compound words. Well, we have compound statements that are also in mathematics where there are two sentences or situations that are put together to make one scenario. So that's pretty much what it's saying. So two or more statements joined by the word and. So here's a key word. And we talked about the symbols for this. The and always looks like a Christmas tree. I always remember it by thinking of a Christmas tree or a capital A without the line going across the middle. And then the or statement is used also for a compound. So that means how we put two sentences together. So a compound statement uses the word and is called a conjunction. Okay? That is with the and scenario. A conjunction is true only when both statements that form are true. So that's the key point right here. That both statements have to be true. With an or statement, which we're probably going to talk about here in a little bit more, is that only one of the two have to be true. One can be true and one can be false, or both of them can be true on the or statement. So here's our scenario. Here's statement number 1. A rectangle is a quadrilateral. We know that is true. A rectangular is convex. We know that is true. Okay, now we want to use an and or a compound statement or a conjunction, meaning, and I always think of the conjunction, I always think of the Schoolhouse of Rock, you know, that conjunction, junction, what's your function? That's all the only part I know of that song when I was growing up as a little kid. Anyways, a rectangle is a quadrilateral, and a rectangle is a convex. Now, if we do the and statement, a rectangle is a quadrilateral, and a rectangle is convex. So that is our compound statement. It's conjunction because it has an and statement in here. And we know that both of them are true, so the whole statement is going to be true. Because both P and Q are true, the conjunction P and Q also written as with the Christmas tree or upside down V or whatever how you want to call it is true. Okay, so that's our biggest thing on this one. So if we look down here, and let's look at a couple examples. I'm going to go ahead and move this up a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. And helping you out here. So it seems to be a little bit, got to get all this stuff cleaned off my desk here so it doesn't fall off. Okay, so as we look at this scenario here, we have something that's a couple examples here that to look at. Using the following statements to write a compound statement for each conjunction. So when we use the word conjunction, we're using the and statement. Find its true value, explain your reasoning. So here's our three scenarios. So now we have one where we have three statements, and we have one with an R now. The figure is a triangle, okay? The figure has two congruent sides. That's what the markings on these two sides represent. And the figure has three acute angles, okay? I don't know if that one's necessarily always true because we know the right angle is definitely not an acute angle, but we know that the other two are. Okay, so here's our situation. They want us to write a compound with P and R. So here we go. The figure is a triangle and the figure has three acute angles. Is that all? Are both scenarios true? Although P is true and R is false, so P and R is false. Okay, so it can't be, because again, going back again, reminding you that in an and statement or a conjunction, both of them have to be true no matter what. So now if we were to do this, whereas in statement number 2, it shows the negation of it. So now we were going to put in this R up here, we're going to put that the figure does not have three acute angles. Now that could possibly make that true. So let's look at it. The figure has two congruent sides, which is what we have here, which is true. And the figure does not have three acute angles. Now, because we did the negation of it, both statements are now true. Therefore, the whole thing is going to be true. Okay? All right. So I would recommend down here where it says for you to look at this thing, and I'd pause this for a few minutes, and I would write this out here and and find out if the P and the Q are the same. And then again, here we go. 18 or 1b shows the negation of P and the negation of R, and whether both statements are true for that one too. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and move on here to the next page and some information that we have here. Now, go into this part. Now I have to move some things around some more, make sure I have enough room for stuff. And now we're going to talk about a disjunction. Now, disjunction, I'm going to have to lay my book a little bit more flat here for you. It shows that a compound statement that uses the word or. Okay, so here's all these words that we're talking about is a disjunction. So again, we have two statements. Malik studies geometry and Malik studies chemistry. Okay, now remember, out of a disjunction or out of an or statement, only one of the two have to be true, and that's it. Okay, so Malik studies geometry or Malik studies chemistry. So a disjunction is true if at least one of the statements is true. If Malik studies either geometry or chemistry or both subjects, the disjunction P or Q, also written with the actual capital V, is true. If Malik studies neither geometry nor chemistry, P or Q is false, because now we did the negation of that one. That's what they talked about there, if that's the case. Okay, so let's look down here at our examples now. Okay, it says use the following statements to write a compound statement for each disjunction, then find the true value, explain your reasoning. So here we go. January is a fall month. January has only 30 days. January 1st is the first day of the new year. Okay? So now we want to do a disjunction. So here's our first scenario, Q or R. January has only 30 days, or January 1st is the first day of the year. So does January have 30 days? Q or R is true because R is true and Q is not. It does not matter that Q is false. So it only matters that only one scenario is true. Okay. So now here's another one. P or Q. I'm going to move this down just a little bit here. And let's check it out. Okay. January has only 30. Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. January is a fall month, or January has only 30 days. Because both P and Q are false, therefore the whole thing is going to be false, because, again, remember, one of them has to be true. Okay, now, going down to part C here, and then I would recommend you looking in your books and stuff like that too, and doing these practices down here as well. Okay, again, here's the negation of P or R. So here we go. Remember, when we do a negation, we put in the word not, or we make it false somehow. So January is not a fall month, so not is in there. Or January 1st is the first day of the year. So not P or Q is true because that's true, and actually that is true, so therefore the whole thing is going to be true. Okay? So I would recommend going through and doing these or statements on your own, and then we can come back and talk about them in class if you guys got any questions about them. Okay? So, in summary, for this part of this lesson, let's go back over these concepts here. And I don't think they're in our guided notes yet because we're not there yet. So if you ever look at this and go back, negation is a statement that has opposite meaning and true value of the original statement. So negation means it makes it false or makes it its opposite. And by doing that, you use the little symbol here. Okay? Conjunction is an and statement. Okay? And statement, and they both have to be true. Remember, using your upside down capital V or the and word, and they again have to both be true. And then disjunction is a or statement, and only one of the two have to be true, and we use a capital V for this part here. Okay? All right, so if you guys have any questions or concerns or anything like that, we can talk about them in class. All right, enjoy the rest of the notes here at part 2.